Hey everybody, my name is Jared. Today I'd like to share some addiction recovery insights, and the lesson I want to pull from is from the book The Count of Monte Cristo, or the movie. I like them both. But in the movie, if you're not familiar with it, as well as the book, young Edmond Dantes is about to have everything go right in his world. He's about to become a captain. He's about to marry a very beautiful woman, Mercedes. He has good friends. He's a good relationship with his boss. Everything couldn't be better. Young man aspiring to the heights of all success when his world is completely rocked. In this story, he's betrayed. He's turned into a villain when he's not, and he's locked away in a cell for a really long time. Now, during this time, he has a lot of time to think. He meets a wonderful abbé, or a priest, and during that time he develops this relationship. He becomes very smart. He learns a lot. Now, in addiction recovery, I think we hit our storms. We hit those walls in our lives that feel like they turn us into a victim. They trap us in a position that we can no longer control. And in this case, Edmond Dantes, he cannot control it. He is stuck in this place. So I want you to kind of think, as we talk about this, what is your addiction doing to you? What is it taking away from you that you can no longer control? What's happening in your life that's become out of control because of it? And when you put yourself in this mindset, you're going to have to think about, well, what am I missing? What am I not living up to in my life? So in the story, Edmund finally has an opportunity to get out, but it's at the expense of his new friend dying. His friend dies. He ends up taking his place in the death sack, and he doesn't realize it, but they throw their prisoners in the ocean. That's the grave instead of being buried. He was thinking he could maybe just dig his way out. But fortunately, he was a skilled sailor, a wonderful swimmer. He's able to survive barely swimming off this island. Be kind of like escaping Alcatraz is kind of how I'd see it. Cold water, swim far away. And he ends up making a life for himself. He saves himself, and he finds this secret treasure that the priest had told him about. And that treasure is kind of, to me, it's like a new hope. This new treasure in addiction recovery may be this newfound reason to live. And I find that when people connect with their higher power, their God, they start to really feel that treasure, and they start to live with purpose again. And that purposeful living takes them from a place of pain to a place of prosperity, even, or purpose and happiness, dare I say. So another aspect that came across in the book that wasn't in the movie was this scene that really stood out to me, where the Count of Monte Cristo is watching a public execution with a couple of young people in his booth, and he's explaining to them human nature. And this, what first happens is, the first guy who's about to be executed, he's brought up on the stage, and he's resounded. He knows he's going to die. He's got his head down. He's ready. He's just kind of there. He's lethargic, barely moving around, and he's about to be executed. So then the next guy comes up, another criminal that was associated with the first guy, and he walks up, and he's on the stage ready to die next to his partner. They're both sitting there, and all of a sudden, here comes a man with a pardon running through the crowd, and he pardons the second guy. And the second guy is excited. He's happy. He just got his life back, right? Well, what happens is the first guy becomes angry and starts fighting and biting and trying to wrestle with his captors, and he's screaming, "Why should I have to die? Why not my friend too? Why not my friend too? Why just I? Why not my friend? How come he gets to live and I have to die?" And the Count of Monte Cristo, gets excited. He's telling these people next to him, he's like, "Look, this is what human nature really is. When you take off the mask of life, when you're on the stage, right at the precipice of death, right before they take your head off, that is when you see what man really is." And he says, "Look, this man is more angry about his friend going free than his own execution. Why would he be so angry about his friend going free than his own execution?" He says, any other animal in the world, a sheep, a lamb, any other being, creature created under God, they would be full of happiness that someone else gets to live on, and even though they have to die. So in addiction, how does this relate to us? Are we willing to take off the mask that addiction makes us wear? This mask of everybody hates me. I'm a bad person. I'm worthless. I'm just a thief. I'm just this and that and the other. This mask that addiction has become you. There's this overlapping enmeshment between you and addiction. If you know anyone with addiction, or if you're struggling with it yourself, where we start to believe that we are our addiction, we are our drink, we are our drug, we are our sex addiction, or whatever that looks like. And these overlapping factors make us into something that's not even authentic or real anymore. And it breaks us down where we don't have friends, we don't have family, we betray trust, we steal, we lie, and we become this animal that's on the stage yelling at everybody. Why do I have to die alone? I should have someone go with me. That's not who you really are. You are so much more than that. And when you take that mask off, hopefully not at the cost of nearly dying, which a lot of addicts do that. They have a relapse that nearly kills them, or does kill them. They get, luck. Maybe they come back to life through getting revived. There's that moment of pain that's really great, and a lot of them do kind of start to wake up to that. But for those of you who've done this dance, you've relapsed, you've gone back to it again, and you keep fighting, it never seems to end. You've got to do it differently. You've got to take those little moments of clarity, whatever they are, if it's the stage of death or almost dying, or a family member just telling you this is ruining you, or you telling yourself, I just don't have the energy to do this anymore. In addiction recovery, we'll say that's kind of the place of pain, where the pain of staying the same has actually become greater than the pain that it takes to change. That's a pivot point where you can start doing something differently. And what I've seen is when people do it differently, they actually find purpose in their life. They start to go out and help others. They start committing to the 12-step program. They start committing to God in whatever way their spirituality is or looks like. And when they make that commitment, they find purpose, and they switch from a path of pain to one that is full of purpose. And that purpose path will take them as far as they're willing to dedicate to it. And there's so much that has to change, but it doesn't have to be this overwhelming, horrible thing. It can have a happy ending. And one thing I really like that kind of goes that direction, there's this quote in the movie where the Count is praising this guy, and he's saying, well, I saw courage in this guy, and this is what life looks like. And this is from his own experience, because if you think about it, the Count was washed up on the shore. He had to scratch on the rocks, and he had to go through so much. But this is the quote I love. Life is a storm, my young friend. You will bask in the sunlight one moment, be shattered on the rocks the next. What makes you a man is what you do when that storm comes. You must look into that storm and shout as you did in Rome, do your worst, for I will do mine, and the fates will know you as we know you. Now that storm is different for all of us. That storm comes, and if you're stuck in your addiction, you're in that storm. But what you do now is you can no longer blame. You can no longer be a victim. You can no longer play this game with the addiction. One more drink, one more day. Oh, I'll stop now. No, that stuff doesn't work. You have to choose with your own free agency to do it differently. You have to do it with help. And the most success I've ever seen is when someone engages their higher power. And I'm not saying you have to go to church. I'm not saying you have to be a certain religion. What I'm saying is you have to believe in something greater than you. You have to look at the stars. You have to look at the sky. You have to look at the beauty of nature and recognize that we are definitely here, and we're not alone. We're not alone. And if we're willing to engage that higher power with purpose and say, God, I need your help. Help me through this. We can find a way through that storm. We can't do it alone, though. It just doesn't work. It wears you out, wears you down. You need a complete change of heart. So I hope today's insights have been helpful to you in seeing some of the human nature. I love working in addiction recovery. It's a passion that I've grown, and I love those who are struggling and fighting the fight. It's a good fight, I promise. There is some sunlight, and there are some happy endings for those who really, really seek it. If you like this insight and you want more, I'll be putting these out frequently and often. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel below, and I'll talk to you later.